Hi, and welcome to the video presentation of my Redesign Activity report for the UDL Badge 2020. Let me start by introducing myself. My name is David Coomey. I work in Youth Reach Bantry, which is located in West Cork. Youth Reach is an educational and training centre for early school leavers aged 15 to 20. I work as a resource person, and my duties include tasks such as teaching students, staff support, IT support, and centre admin. Please feel free to follow us on social media. For my redesign activity, I chose to do a QA training session for QQI assessments. This activity was part of a staff training session or induction for new staff. There were 6 staff in my training session. Here's a QR code link to our YouTube channel where you can find this video and share if you wish to do so. So what were the key findings from my reflection on my own teaching practices prior to UDL? As part of my role in Youth Reach, I run staff training sessions on classroom management, technology and technology tools, teaching strategies, QQI policies and procedures, plus more. These would normally be short 2 to 3 hour training sessions with follow-up one-to-one support. I'd run refresher courses every year, and I'd also run induction courses for new staff. Having completed the UDL training, I discovered some disadvantages in my training. 1. Staff may often miss a training session due to part-time nature of their role or other commitments. 2. The catch-up session was worse. They'd have to read the presentation or a manual or get an even shorter information session with me. 3. My training in QQI was often too general and it wasn't focused on the individual modules being taught by each teacher. And 4. There was only one way to access my training, and that was through me using my PowerPoint slides or listening to me. An important reason for focusing on staff training was because staff in a centre felt like they were falling behind with all the new technologies and tools that are emerging. And I wanted to design and put up short training courses for staff in IT and technologies and technology tools. So I was hoping to use UDL as a stepping stone to this. What changes did I make to my teaching practices to embed UDL? I focused on assessment planning. This would usually be part of a half-day training session covering a number of different procedures from the assessment of learners policy. I used the assessment plan as the central point of my training. The aim of my redesign activity was to find and use a technology tool or tools that would allow my learners to access the training from the staff room or the classroom or a home using a desktop or laptop, a tablet or a phone. I wanted them to access the information in document, video, audio, or other formats. I wanted them to have access to me through email, video call, phone, or in person. I also wanted them to access training at a level or section that suited their current need. The UDL principles and checkpoints my activity covered were recruiting interest 7.1. I offered the learners choice of the level of learning and the tools used for getting information. Comprehension 3.3. I broke the learning into chunks and provided multiple entry points. Expression and communication 5.1. I used a number of different media formats for the learning. I used 2 technology tools for my activity. I used Wakelet, a relatively new tool which is excellent for use in education, and I used Microsoft Forms, which is part of Office 365. Forms is excellent for questionnaires, surveys, and quizzes, and I recently discovered it is also a great tool for worksheets. Both tools allowed my learners to access my survey or course by clicking on a link or scanning a QR code. This allowed me to place those links or QR codes in a virtual learning environment, on an email, on a document, or on a sheet of paper. I used Microsoft Forms to survey my learners on their digital skills and confidence, their past training experience, and their future training needs. There was 24 questions in the survey, and I have to admit they were quite wordy. So I ran into some difficulties straight away. Staff felt the survey was too long and they didn't have time to fill it out in one go, and they were afraid that if they started the survey and had to leave it, they would lose the work they'd already done. They also felt they needed time to discuss some of the questions with me and to get some clarification. So I solved that problem by breaking the surveys into 3 separate surveys of 8 questions each. I printed a copy of each survey and I put 2 QR codes on each printout. One was a link to my email, so staff could email me and ask me questions. The other was a link to the online survey itself, because I needed all the information on the computer. So if staff had filled it out on paper, they could go through the online one much quicker. Here is 2 charts from just 2 questions from the surveys. The one on the left, staff were asked that if I brought in a brand new machine never seen before tomorrow, how would they like to learn how to use it? And they were able to pick more than one choice. So as you can see there, they said experiment with it, read the manual, watch a video or demonstration. The other question was about their digital skills and confidence. As you see, we had one staff member who was unfamiliar and had poor digital skills and confidence. We had 3 members of staff who classed themselves as competent with basic skills, and we had 2 members of staff who were fairly comfortable with intermediate skills. So I created my course. I broke my course into chunks, so learners could review any section of the course they wished. They could skip any sections they already knew, and they could enter the course at different levels with a variety of formats that were laid side by side. And they could also access the course to suit the level of technology skills and their learning choices. So here is a sample of an assessment plan that I would have given to the staff on PDF or Word format, and it was also a printout in the staff room. And staff could scan the QR code or they could click on the link and it would take them straight to the training session. And the training session was on Wakelet. Here's the cover sheet from the training session on Wakelet, and here is a sample course on Wakelet. So as you can see there, the first 2 slides on the left and right are about the policy document. So one is a video going through, presentation going through the policy. The other is a PDF version of the policy document with little notes in it. Underneath that then, there is a video explaining how to fill in the assessment plan. And to the right of that, there's some sample assessment plans. And then underneath it, there's a link to the QQI website and to the Cork ETB SharePoint. So learner participation. Learners were able to take any sections from my course and build their own course using Wakelet. I created group Wakelets, which allowed me to invite my learners to add their own content. Learners were able to create content in their chosen format and add it to the group Wakelet. I encourage my learners to create content to help each other, to ask questions and to give feedback. I also placed links and QR codes in the Wakelet to my email address and to a feedback questionnaire. So what impact did this implementation of UDL have? For such a very short little section of a very short course, I felt it had a huge impact. I was able to gather information quickly and easily about my learners and use it to design my training session. Learners were able to get access to the necessary training at any time and in multiple ways. The Wakelet collections are easy to create and edit. I have to admit they're very easy to create and edit. Staff could focus on the sections they needed to focus on. New staff can learn in their own time and at their own pace. And there was options for feedback and questions, allowed the staff to ask questions immediately and allowed me to answer them when I was free. So a summary of the further changes I plan to make. I've had tons of ideas running around in my head, and there's just a sample of a few of them. So if you look there for staff, I could run similar course for assessment briefs and the assessor checklist and internal verification. For students, I felt I could put QR codes and links on handouts that could take them to websites or could read the handout for them. I could put QR codes on worksheets. For an example, a maths worksheet that might have some difficult maths problems on it. It could be a link to a video showing them how to do those problems. I had some ideas for admin as well, with timetables and stock control and posters and notices, and some fun with a QR code quiz, a scavenger hunt. So what I want to do though, I would prefer to use Office 365. The reason for this is I believe Wakelet will become a paid for service in the future. And some ideas for sessions that may include sensitive information will require the security of Office 365. This I kind of came across and I designed this while I was doing my report. So I could do this in Office 365, create what's called a choice board, or some people refer to it as a mood board in Word and save it as a PDF. And learners then can click on the links. So if they want to have a look at a PDF document, or if they want to watch a video, or just listen to an audio podcast, they can click on whichever one they want. Also, with the extra information, if they want to go to the QQI website, or to Cork ETP SharePoint, or to the FES website, they can click and choose which ones they want, or they can choose all three. There's also email contacts there to the QQI coordinator in the center, to the center coordinator, to the QA office, and to the QQI help desk. Here's a link to my email. There's a QR code that you can scan, and it will send an email to me if you have any questions about my redesign activity. But for now, I want to thank you for watching.